Battleline podcast. Every week we have new people checking us out and new listeners. So for the new listeners, my name is Ian Scotto,
I am Chris Peranto. Chris Tato Peranto.
who sounds very tired today. Not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I'm not getting a lot of sleep the last few days because I'm an old man and got old man pains creeping up on me.
Yeah, it happens, man. For the new listeners checking us out, as I usually say, we interview a lot of great guys from the special operations military community and people outside of that community. And also guys who are more conventional military but have done extraordinary things, like Chris Whittemore, who is a Marine Scout sniper, just put out Terror to Triumph, and really excited to have him on. But in terms of you not getting sleep, man, you need
Yeah.
Ned. Ned always gives me a great night's sleep. I don't know what's going on with you.
Yeah, I have it, Ned. I've been using the I do the CBD oil. It's tremendous as far as just taking it daily just to get my head right. And it also has helped a lot with the inflammation in my ulcerative colitis. The inflammation for all you squeamish out there, it's inflammation in your lower intestines and colon that you just can't get rid of. That's ulcerative colitis. So you kind of look like a road rash on the inside. And last checkup I had, which was just a few weeks ago, it was completely gone. And I attribute that a lot of that to the CBD oil. So there was some other some other effects, positive effects that I've had because of taking the CBD oil, not just the mental, getting mentally online, but also fixing my stomach. And then the body butter, because my back's out really bad right now. I've been putting the body butter on because it's inflammation, and that's why your back goes out. It's inflammation in your little discs and inflammation in your joints, in your muscles that hold everything together around your spine. And I've been putting it on there, and it helps. It really does. I mean, I was honestly thinking about canceling the podcast, bro, because I think I could sit here. And well, obviously I am sitting here. I'm a little bit uncomfortable, but my back's out really bad. But Ned has been tremendous. It's helped to just heal things up. It's been fantastic. It's a life changer, just a complete life changer for me.
Well, I'm glad you're here. We're gonna get through this. We'll be okay. I know for
We'll get
me,
through
Ned
it.
has really helped for sleep actually. So it's interesting to hear because I never have nights where I can't sleep now. But May is Mental Health Month, and we actually talk quite a lot about mental health in this podcast. It's something
Yeah.
that I think separates us from a lot of the vet bro podcasts out there. We don't just have war stories and stuff like that. We do talk
Yeah.
about mental health because it's important, especially I think we'll get into it with Chris, guys getting back. Sometimes their biggest struggles, as he says in his book, are coming back home. So I think it's important to talk about that stuff. And as we usually say, there's not like a fix-all when it comes to mental health,
No.
but Ned is something that is
Yeah.
going to be a tool in your arsenal that could
Oh
help
yeah.
you with your struggle with mental health. So, in the spirit of Mental Health Month, I want to tell you guys about my favorite product for relieving stress and anxiety, and that's Ned's Distress Blend. This is a USDA certified organic formula that puts the spotlight on two powerful cannabinoids, CBG, known as the mother of all cannabinoids, because of how effective it is at combating anxiety and stress by inhibiting the reuptake of GABA, the neurotransmitter responsible for stress regulation, and of course, our tried and true CBD extracted from the world's purest full spectrum hemp in the foothills of Colorado Rockies. So invest in yourself and fortify your stress response this month and get 15% off Ned's Distress Blend with the code Battleline. So go to helloned.com/Battleline or enter Battleline at checkout, and you're going to get 15% off that Distress Blend. Once again, HELLONED.com/Battleline to get 15% off. Link is right there in the description. Pick it up, guys. Thank you, Ned, for
Oh yeah.
sponsoring the show and offering our listeners a natural remedy for some of life's most common health issues. Also, of course, we always talk about Bubs, the best collagen protein out there. Also, of course, there are other great products. But the thing
Yeah.
that I always say with the collagen protein, I do see some of the responses on the ads that you've put up with them. And some people have been, I don't know, critical. And they're like, well, you could do everything with just good diet and exercise, but you're not getting collagen in your
Yeah.
diet. So it's really, it's supplemental. It's a supplement. It's supplemental to your diet, and getting that collagen in is a game changer, as we always say.
Well, it does have, and just for me personally, anti-aging, properties. It does. You get it in there, and it helps with your joints. It helps with your muscles. It helps to repair things that just normal whey protein won't do for you. And guys, it again, another life changer. Ned and Bubs, I've been taking now for over a year, and I have seen the results from not just my mental stability, which is Ned tremendous, but also them also helping with my ulcerative colitis. Bub is another big part of that too, which has helped stamp that ulcerative colitis out that I had badly for many years. It's helped to minimize, and actually I have no symptoms anymore of it. Bubs is a big part of that too because of the collagen protein. It rebuilds. It rebuilds for a healthy gut. It'll even tell you it's healthy gut. It's a healthy gut rebuilder. That's important because that's how you process your food and you process your protein. And Bubs has been tremendous as well. And it's the only protein for all you. And I always say this: all you inflammatory bowel disease sufferers. I know your pain. I feel you. I got it too. If you have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, anything like that, Bubs is the only protein, whey, collagen, whatever, that I've been able to take, and it has not negatively affected my gut. Actually, it's been the complete opposite. And then also the MCT oil, guys, that is a tremendous freaking pre-workout powder. People don't think that. Take that MCT oil. If you haven't taken, it has coconut oil in there. If you have not taken coconut oil, you're going to see your energy levels go spike through the roof again. And that's another positive for a healthy gut is coconut oil. So Bubs Naturals, tremendous, another life changer for me. I don't think I'm ever going to stop taking it unless Sean Lake over there decides to stop making it, and then I guess that's what it's going to be. But I will be on Bubs for the rest of my life as long as they're still having it out there. Tremendous protein and a tremendous supplement for a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have Sean Lake back on the podcast. I was trying to think of a good date to bring him on, and I was just wondering if there was something we could tie in. And I realized that Glenn Bub Doherty, who's the namesake for the company, his birthday was in July. So we could celebrate the life of Glenn Doherty, and we'll have Sean on in July, and it will be a celebration of his life. I know that even Glenn Doherty's funeral was a celebration of his life. That's the type of guy that he was. So check it out, guys. BubsNaturals.com. And as always, you're supporting a great cause as well when you support their products, which is the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. So use the promo code Battleline. You're going to get 20% off. BubsNaturals.com. Promo code Battleline.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline podcast.
The Switch is on Battleline podcast. And I feel like it's actually been an exciting May so far. I've been watching these NHL playoffs. Mets doing great. Your Yankees doing great.
They are doing great. Yeah.
I didn't tell you this. Last week, I was at Limp Bizkit at Mohegan Sun.
No way. You went to saw Limp Bizkit.
It was awesome.
Is he still doing a good show? I mean, Dirk is a performer,
absolutely.
Man. He is a performer. I don't think he's that talented as far as a singer. When you put him and Aaron,
I don't think he would call himself.
Which was the song that him and I'm
Aaron Lewis? Yeah,
Aaron Lewis. When they did it together, it was like Aaron Lewis, because Aaron Lewis can freaking sing. The dude's got a voice.
Great guy too.
Yeah.
I do actually know.
Gosh, Aaron, if you ever, I'd love to have Aaron Lewis on the show. Talk about guns and hunting and military and so forth. He's a tremendous supporter of the military. But when they did that song together, it was a remake, and it was just really. They showed the video. It was like Limp Bizkit whispering into his microphone as Aaron Lewis is actually singing the song, because Fred Durst can't sing. So it was just fun. That's what reminded me of that. I forget the video for what.
Yeah, it was outside.
Outside.
But Fred Durst wouldn't really call himself a singer. I mean, Fred
No.
Durst is a rapper, and on the early Limp Bizkit could really scream. But it was the first time I crowd surfed in probably 15 years. It was a ton of fun.
Holy crap! You're crowd surfing? Are you kidding me?
It was great. It's on video. It's on video. I found it on YouTube and I posted it on Twitter.
Did you catch one? Did you catch a shocker on you? Did somebody
for me?
I'm sorry.
Actually, the guy who lifted me up, he even said I was like, I want to go up. It was like this big dude. He's like, hey, just don't kick anyone in the face, especially don't kick any girls in the face. So I was like, absolutely not. But the new Limp Bizkit is great. I had a great time. But anyway, getting into like stuff that we're going to talk about before we bring on Chris. E3 Firearms is relaunching, and I know you wanted to speak about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, tremendous. They're part of Battleline, of course, and E3 Firearms. E3 Firearms is an association with E3 Association that is a tremendous company to help bring, again, positivity back to society and back to veterans and military. But you don't have to be veterans of the military. You just have to like camping. You have to like overland, just driving out in the woods, man. You have to like off-roading, which if you watch their videos and watch them coming out, they have a tremendous team of off-roaders that if you like to go and try to test your metal, driving up rocks and vertical hillsides, that's part of it. And then we have E3 Firearms, which is myself and I can't remember his name right now. Well, it's E3. It's unbelievable. But E3 Firearms, Adam Paintshot. I'm sorry, he used to run SIG Academy, and now he's a trooper out in the Northeast. But really, what it does, guys, it's a group, and we bring people together to just find the positive things you can do on the outside and outdoors. And of course, we've got tremendous groups that help sponsor or we partner with. That I should say, partner is a better word. That gives great discounts on things that you're going to use in the outdoors. Fort Scott Munitions, there's another one right there. They're a sponsor for it. 9Line is going to be a sponsor for it. If all you guys follow us, I'm sure you know about 9Line. They make great T-shirts, and great clothing and apparel. And then you also have the Team Rubicon as part of the sponsors of the Overland guys, and that's a disaster relief team. They're tremendous.
Yep, I know them.
And so that's just something that going to pop up, and becoming a member of it, you're going to get a lot of things tied into it, and you get to actually speak to me if that's a plus. I mean, not be a seller. You get to speak to me directly more often than me just doing a Facebook Live, because that's part of the experience. And the 3 E's. And they're tremendous. It's education, entertainment, and I can't even say I'm having a hard time today. I'm just
you were out of it today.
I am out of it today. Education, entertainment, and help me with the 3rd E. Somebody out there, you're gonna get it.
There's no. We didn't go over this, so don't look at me.
I know. Here, I'm gonna search it. But regardless, guys, when the E3 Firearms comes out and E3 Association comes out, check it out, and it'll be a tremendous experience. And
could people sign up now, or
they can if they, but I would wait till we do the launch and the release, which will be a couple weeks in June, the mid-June. Okay. We'll do a release. So yeah, we'll check it out. But don't take my word for it, because obviously I can't talk for shit today. Just search E3 Association and it'll pop up, and you'll get to see what it's all about.
Cool. Well, 2 things people can sign up for actually right now, and you're probably going to jump in here and tell me what the 30 is as I'm going to. I'm going to search. I know you're going to. But 2 things people can sign up for are actually 2 Battleline tactical courses coming up if you're in the area. So the first of which is June 4th and 5th, 2-day stress fire course in Kiefer, Oklahoma. And then the following month, you'll be back at Fort Scott for the July 9th and 10th Tactical Emergency First Aid and One-Person Room Clearing Tactics 2-day course in Fort Scott, Kansas. And for both of those, you can go to tontosgearlocker.com. So, guys, if you're in Oklahoma or you're in Kansas, do it. I would even say, hey, if you got to take a trip, if you want to fly out or drive out, you guys will make it worth their time.
We have a lot of fun. Ian kind of saw what we do out there when you came out, and there's no bravado, there's no ego, there's nothing out there, guys. We just want to teach and everybody have a good time. Yes, we take it seriously because firearms is inherently dangerous. It is, so you have to have safety, but we don't run it down your throat. We make sure that you're safe, but we also want to make sure you're learning, because I do believe the best learning environment is a fun environment. There are times for me to yell and scream, and that's when we're doing vetting courses or tryouts for things. That's different. This is something that you're paying for. You're coming to learn. And the best learning is done when you are happy and you're comfortable and you can just take a breath and go, okay, these guys aren't a bunch of assholes. They're actually really nice. Let's get into it. And then we, run after it. I have to let you know, though, the Oklahoma course only got 1 slot left. And so that's over at Kiefer Farms, at Iron Gal Farms in Kiefer, Oklahoma.
And we're recording this Thursday, so by the time people see it on Monday, it might be done.
It might be gone, guys. So sorry about that. But the one we're having here at Fort Scott with the Stop the Bleed, Intro to Room Clear, that is really like a home defense course. So that's why I'm only teaching single man room clearing, is because realistically, if anybody ever breaks in your home, it's on you. I mean, unless you got a 6-7-year-old boy like my boy that can stack with me at the door, it's probably not going to happen. So, and a tremendous urban training area. Ian didn't get to see it because we were out at the range, but a tremendous urban training area that we have here at Fort Scott and at Fort Defense here at Fort Scott, Kansas. And you're going to have a blast. It's going to be so much fun. And you get to learn how to pack wounds and put on tourniquets from one of the best medical instructors in the country, Mike Ritchie. So I would highly recommend you come to that. And I'd love to see you. And you get to see my smiling face.
Awesome. Yeah, the guys that we met at that tactical course, at that opening, we got to get a lot of them on. Definitely have to have Hank Strange back on and have back on.
John and the Guns Out guys. John.
Yes, John and Shermichael, which, by the way, people probably wouldn't know this about him because I got to know those guys and they were both like, oh, we work in media, and Shermichael Singleton was like, oh, I work in TV. I don't know. People would probably be surprised by this. I don't know if you know, because I don't know if you talked to him until I looked at his Instagram. He's an MSNBC contributor, which would probably surprise people.
Oh, he is. And I didn't know that. I did know he's on because the Peacock channel. Peacock.
Yeah, but which is part of all that. But people might be kind of surprised that there's a guy who knows his shit about guns who is on there, and people might be like, oh, why are you working there? But the thing that I think people need to realize is, whatever station it is, for one, it's a job, but beyond that, it's just you need to have people on all avenues of the media who actually do know guns and aren't going to sound like an idiot out there. Yeah, because otherwise, when you turn on these stations, you're going to say these people sound like they never held the gun. So it's important to have someone out there who actually could speak to that and is experienced like him. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I know Peacock's part of the NBC network. I didn't know he was a contributor on MSNBC.
I've seen from, I may be getting it wrong, but I know it's all part of the same network. So
they are. They are. Yeah, they are. Peacock's run. It's an internet streaming service that's run by NBC, just like Hulu is run mainly by ABC and so forth. But I didn't know that either. But I think what he does though, if like on the Peacock channel, what he does, he's the counterpoint for those people that are all the anti-gun. So kudos to him for doing that. I mean, honestly, I think he's probably in the hornet's nest half the time, and he has the balls, the cojones, the huevos to step in there and say what he needs to be said. John and Shermichael reminded me of me when I first got into all this stuff. Very, very, a lot of energy. When I left Benghazi, I got all that, and I'd love to see. And I even said that when we did our interview. I go, it's great to see that a guy like me can finally get out of that. Because people that are fighting for gun rights and the 2A, the Second Amendment, and even the First Amendment, so forth, it's in good hands because of guys like yourself, of Shermichael and John. And that's what I said to him. And so honestly, for me, it was very therapeutic that they're teaching, because it's like, okay, I don't need to yell about this anymore. These guys got it. And they got it a lot better than I did because they're a lot more well-spoken. And so it's awesome. It's awesome. I didn't know that. Well, I'm going to have to heckle him.
Well, you did, because the Peacock channel, and I could be, I could be mixing things up, but I just mean he's a part of that NBC umbrella. But it's just good to see that there's people, like I said, whether it is Fox News or Newsmax or what is considered the liberal end of the media, having people who actually know their stuff, so that there actually is a talking head who knows their shit out there.
And he does.
But everybody there was super cool, man. I know, there's too many people to name. Really excited though, as I said, to talk to Chris. This is a book a lot of you guys probably have not heard about yet because it's independent, but it's got those stories out there that I know this audience loves to hear. So before we get to all that, we were just talking about Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact, which is their trademark, in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally designed to improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters and shooters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with every pull of the trigger. So Fort Scott Munitions, as Chris is holding right there, is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states. Go to the dealer locator on the website. You'll see it right there. And go to fortscottmunitions.com. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline podcast. Also, of course, guys, we're talking guns, we're talking ammo, so we got to talk night vision. Photonis Defense is the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high-quality night vision capabilities than anyone. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and outdoor enthusiasts rely on Photonis Defense systems to make their adventures safer and more successful. Military, law enforcement, and public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Photonis Defense is now offering state-of-the-art night vision systems, from the PD Pro B 16mm binocular and the PD Pro M 16mm monocular to the PD Pro Q panoramic night vision systems. Customers from all over are excited about these new, smaller, lighter NVGs. You've got to see these things to really experience how much smaller and lighter they are than anything you've used previously. Go to their website. It's photonisdefense.com, PHOTONIS defense.com. The link right there is in the description, just like all of our sponsors. For more information, or look for Photonis Defense product options from your night vision dealer. We've had guys on the podcast like Justin Sheehan and, of course, Phil Otto, who is a part of the team there. And they've been there, they've done that, and they can tell you Photonis Defense has really innovated what's going on in night vision.
They are tremendous stuff. The best visual acuity you'll ever have in night vision, guys. So if you're in a department out there and you guys are up for new night vision, before you go buying the old stuff like you always do, go check out Photonis. Just see the amazing difference, just not even on the size and the weight and the ease of use, but just the ability to see clearly, the visual acuity, the ability to see clearly, even clearer than the stuff you're using before. It is literally night and day. And if you're a hunter, guys, there you got it. You got Fort Scott munition, Fort Scott ammo, Fort Scott munition ammo, and you got night vision. If you're doing hog hunting or coyote hunting at night, that's all you need, guys. That's it. And you're gonna get you're gonna get your limit, whatever that is, in whatever state you are. But Fort Scott Munitions, best ammo on the planet. Photonis Defense, best night vision on the planet. And I'm not just saying that; it really is.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Chris, man. Go ahead, Ian.
I'll give Chris an intro. Like, we have a lot of good stuff to talk about here. So
as long as I can drink coffee, we're good.
You
can drink whatever you want. If you wanted to drink vodka at 10:30 a.m., you could.
I got a vodka that I could send you. It's called Tonto vodka. Actually, I should. Let's encourage you to drink more. Yeah, let's encourage all veterans to drink more. Yeah, that's right.
My liver's begging for mercy.
Yeah.
We might as well keep that in there if you're
yeah.
So I'll give Chris an actual intro though, but this is his book right here, Terror to Triumph.
Awesome stuff.
Great book. Yeah, sometimes the toughest battles you have to fight are at home with yourself. Yeah. And guys, I could tell you, just looking through everything in here and reading the book, if you're, and I know this audience is, if you're looking for a book that's like action-packed, war stories, this is the book. But you also have a lot of like introspective stuff in here. I mean, Chris has had a really long military career, and you're doing great things now, just talking to you before we started recording. So thank you so much especially for coming on last minute. You sent me this book just a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, man, I want to get Chris on, but our schedule is always packed. And it just worked out that we were able to like make this happen last minute. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys so much for having me on, and thank you for letting me send you guys a book. Usually different podcasts, different people. I'm like, oh, I'll send you a book. They're like, whatever. But, want to definitely get it personalized and sent out to you guys. So I'm glad it got to you guys. Glad you guys were able to read it. And even better, thank you guys so much for even having me on your podcast.
No,
it's
not a problem
amazing.
at all, man.
Dude, no, you
What,
pulled up.
I have to ask, what podcast you're saying, don't send us a book?
Yeah, what a
'Cause
bunch
fuck
of
them, man.
assholes.
Like,
Who would do that?
we've had bigger names on like Brad Thor, but we like to have the guys on who are like the newer up and coming writers. So what the fuck, man?
Yeah, who said that?
I don't want to throw them under the bus necessarily, but
Throw them under the bus. Fuck them. Throw them under the bus.
There's a few guys and a few like judges even around the courthouse that I work with that are like, oh yeah, I got your book, and it's not my favorite kind of book to read, and I'm like, well, I don't want to know what your job was, but yeah, okay, it's like,
well, that really, it's weird to me because you don't have to be in the military to see, and I don't think I think the majority of Americans out there are very positive towards these kind of books because it doesn't just show the blood and guts. That's war. That's what war is. Can't get around it. I mean, we're not trying to sensationalize it. That's just what it is. But it's stories of overcoming adversity. I mean, that's what this show's about. That's what the other two books I wrote were about. It wasn't, hey, look how cool I am doing it. It's overcoming adversity and the things that you have to go through at home. And so somebody to say that, it's like, do you really not want to learn how to overcome obstacles? Do you really not want to learn how to overcome bad things in your life and continue to grind on? Is that okay? Well, then fine. I guess you're right. This book isn't for you. Go
stand in the shadows and enjoy your Starbucks.
Here. You take the red pill or green pill. Which pill is it? I can't remember.
The blue pill.
The blue pill. Take the blue pill.
With Chris, I will say, with Chris's background, and just to get more specific, really, Chris is a Marine Scout sniper, combat veteran of Iraq, served in Ramadi in 2005 and Fallujah in 2007. But your career was 14 years, I believe.
Just over 16 before they medically.
Wow, dude! How come you didn't finish up? I mean, you had 4 years left. That was it. I mean, when did you get out? I'm sorry, I forgot, brother. When did you? I'm having a hell of a day today. I can't remember shit today.
I've got that almost every single day, and I just blame it on the it's Texas heat. It's melting my brain. But 105 degrees yesterday in the middle of May. It's like, come on, it's not time yet. But I ended up retiring in 2015 after I kind of got into it in the book a little bit. Bunch of surgeries, bunch of this, that, and the other thing, and my style of and I think based on all the stuff I've read about you, Chris, and you, Ian, as well, is I'm the kind of guy, even as going up through the ranks as an E6 and all that stuff. I was never, I'm an E6, you go first, I'll go third, kind of thing. I'm like, no, I'm first in, I don't care. Like, let's go. That paved the way for some wild times in the book and some other stuff not included. But during the surgeries and things like that, 2 back surgeries, a few knee issues, sinus surgery. They're like, oh, you've got a TBI. I'm like, okay, great, wonderful. It's like
it's something else. I add it to the list.
Check it. Get the Xerox box full of paper. There's my records. And they told me, they're like, well, you can stay in. You won't go back to the air wing or the infantry. You're going to basically be
I got it.
An S1 guy. You're not deploying. You're not leading Marines. I'm like, nope, it's time to go.
Yeah, I feel you, brother. I completely understand that. Definitely.
And I don't have to be the door kicker, but I want to be able to. I don't want to hear the stories like, oh, the guy that just came to the unit that you never got to.
Yeah.
And I'm not nothing special, but I was never able to like tweak. And now he ended up like dying or doing something stupid over there. And now I'm like, oh God. So
well, see, you just want to be in the front. You weren't ready to take a desk, and that's normal. That's I get that. I was the same way with my ulcerative colitis when they kicked. I should say kicked me out. The Army did take care of me with all my injuries I had, but they did the same thing. They either, hey, with your disease and with how bad your body's beat up, you can either go to finance or we'll medically retire you. And I was an officer at the time, so I'd already lost my mind because I switched from enlisted to become an officer. I'd already lost my mind.
Oh, Chris, why?
I shut your mouth. You just shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. But I get it because it's hard. It's like, well, this isn't really an option. And not saying anything against finance is extremely important. Believe me, when you're not getting paid and you're downrange, finance is extremely important, but I just wasn't at a point yet that I wanted to to write a desk. Now, okay, well, here I'll write a desk all day. But
I'm behind the desk now too.
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense to me. But getting in a little bit too. I know we skipped up to that. I like to know about why you got in, and and how was basic. I love basic training stories. I mean, you can have all the war stories in the world. I love hearing guys' stories about basic training, especially back in the day, back when it was hard, sort of thing. So yeah, could you tell us and the listeners out there why you joined, and maybe your upbringing a little bit, if it led down that path, and then I want tell us about basic training, but I want an actual story, like a good one, a real good story, if you can. All right.
Yeah, I'm out and I'm separated, so there's no that umbrella of silence or whatever.
No, yeah, here comes Jag, gonna get you. Hey,
yeah, Jag's gonna get me. But basically, growing up was 100% military family. All my relatives were either Army in Vietnam. Grandfather was received the Silver Star in Pearl Harbor. He was actually on Kaneohe Bay during the bombings.
Is he still around? Is he still with us, or is he not?
He passed away from cancer and dementia back in 2000, early 2010, right before I deployed to Afghanistan. He ended up passing away, and got to go up to the funeral. Came home a few weeks later. Off I went. But father was in the Navy. Uncles, other uncle was an Army paratrooper in the Army in Vietnam. And all these people, and they're like Navy or Army. I'm like, well, I don't want to float on a ship. There's no way I'm going under the water in a submarine. And, I don't want to be an Army. And of course, the dress blues, the look, spit and polish kind of thing. And I was like, I always wanted to be a Marine. I always wanted, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. So I ended up signing up, went to boot camp. While down there, MCRD 1995, September, I'm getting old, 19, I think around that time frame, began the journey. And back then it was a whole lot different than it is now. The drill instructors weren't as politically correct, if you will.
Were they able to put their hand? I mean, I did my first basic training in 1995, and they were still able to put their hands. In fact, they put their hands on this New York kid very, very hard the first day. My first day I was there. So it was very not. Now that they have to keep. I think last I heard they've got to keep it at 1 arm's distance, and I'm like, so I did like taste the guy's breakfast when he was like in my face, like headbutting with the little with the campaign covers, just bam, like young recruits, nobody. He was our squad leader at the time. He decided he was going to be he slept past the which I don't know how you do, but the lights came on, drill instructors are yelling, screaming, everyone's like panicking, freaking out, jumping up. He must have had like a hard night's sleep because he wasn't waking up. Well, the drill instructors doing what they do best. Each grabbed the side of the mattress and just kind of like pulled the carpet out from under him, and down he went. He was on the second bunk, busted his lip open. And that's awesome. As you sit there bleeding, he's standing there like wobbling, and all the drill instructors are yelling at him still, and blood's coming out of his mouth. I'm like, this is awesome. Like looking back at that, it's just like, and then he doesn't learn, and we're still really good friends to this day. He decided to take a drink out of the drill instructor's like water fountain, and as soon as he was down there getting the water, drill instructor came up, right behind the head, split his lip up to his nose. He ended up having like 25 stitches. Okay, what was his deal? How does he not? I mean, you think you'd learn after the first split lip. I know there's those guys out there, but usually those guys don't make it through basic. Those kind of guys, and he did. Do you think he was just we had those guys that were kind of a guy named Noah Thompson out there that just actually looked for pain because they just thought it was fun? Was he that type of guy? He just wanted to get in trouble just because he really embraced the suck more than anything.
Absolutely, and he was he got really strong in boot camp. Ended up losing a lot of weight, and he was back in the day the force recon guy. Back in the 90s where they all walked around in those black silky shorts, and yeah, on their own like little level. And it's like, come on, guys, like be real. You know,
they had Ranger panties too. They just didn't say Ranger on them. I know what you're talking about. Those silkies. Yeah.
You guys go swimming, we shoot. Let's go. Come on. You know, it's the same thing. And then I ended up getting out in 1999, back when, you know, the UDPs, Oki, Fuji, Korea, Australia, the fun times. Got out, moved in with my wife, who's currently, we just hit 23 years in December.
Wow.
Which, wow.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's a lot. That's awesome.
She's absolutely amazing. Made it through all the deployments, all my BS, all my, like, just constantly. And now she's actually a military family licensed therapist. So she provides therapy sessions for military guys, their families, wives, and helps like keep families together. That's her thing. She loves it.
Wow. That's all. We got to have her on. She's in.
Awesome. She would like absolutely freak out. And I was telling Ian, I told her that I got to come on and meet you and be on this podcast. She's like, "We've got to watch the movie. We've got to watch the movie." So sure enough, for the 15th time, 13 hours was on the big TV in the man cave and watched the movie. And
man, that's awesome.
The jumbo, everything. Like, it's,
just tell her thank you, bro. Tell her thank you. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So really, you can't hide your feelings at all in the house, can you? You can't. She sees right through you. You can't bullshit her, can you?
Oh, she does. She often describes and she uses us, which is ironic. She uses us as a like a therapy modality. She's like, hey, when she does the spouse's wife, what do you call it? Like a chat every week. She brings on all the wives that want to do, and she's like, now let's talk about the wives and the caregivers and the because like in the book, she was just 100% caregiver. Yeah. Just beat down, and she finally gave in. And thankfully, we got her to the hospital in time, and she's, you know, doing great now. Wow. But she hit that wall, and she's like, I'm going to prevent every wife from hitting that same wall if I can, and providing support. So I'm like, damn.
Hey, Chris, can you go? I know. Can you go in that a little bit? It's just for those. I know I want them to read your book, but go in, because what actually happened? Did she have a nervous break? I just want the listeners out there. Did she have a nervous breakdown? Did she just physically and is that what it was? And were you home when that happened, or was it overseas, or were you still overseas when all that was going on?
Thankfully I was home.
Good.
There was a lot going on. We were not able to have kids due to medical issues on both sides. So we were going to adopt. That was falling through. I wasn't able to drive, so she had to drive me to all my appointments. Sit in the hospital basically with me 24/7. Deal with my ups and downs and my bullshit, really. And just after all that, like from recruiting duty, you know, from the command, just everything. She just finally hit a wall. Ended up. We parked. I took the service dog for a walk. Came upstairs. She walked out of the bathroom. She's like, "You're too late." Ended up about 2 bottles of pills, and she went and laid down. And thankfully, called the ambulance. They came, rushed her there. She was like, "No, you're too early. You're too early." Like,
thanks for that. Thanks for telling us about that, man. Wow.
Yeah, and once she they pumped the stomach, put the oxygen, got her stable, and she's, you know, then she went to inpatient treatment, and when she came out of it, she said it was amazing that she felt like she was waking up out of a fog, like just everything became clear, and her mind, and then she just became obsessed. She was like, "I'm helping everyone. I don't care if they want the help or not. Damn it, I'm going to help them." And she is just a rock. And I thank her all the time. I'm like, I don't know why you put up with my shit for so long.
I got one of those
and
too.
all the deployments.
But I feel it.
She was the family readiness officer when I was in 2010. All the wives were like, oh my God, you know, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? And they all knew I had come over from the infantry to the helicopter squadron. And that squadron was the ones who supported us in 2005. I was on the street and they were flying overhead.
Gotcha.
And, and they all would tell their wives, like, oh, if we ever get shot down, we really hope Chris is with us because he's in the infantry. He'll know what to do. I'm like, no, I don't want to get fucking shot down.
well, yeah, let's make sure I live through the crash first. Holy crap.
Yeah. They want me to be like, set up the shop. And it's like, no, you know how to set up the shop. Leave me out of this. And ended up, doing the state trooper thing back in 2003, rejoined in 2004 after, I just couldn't deal with the death notification, the fatality wrecks around the holidays. That was during the initial push back in 2003. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back in. I was like, recruiter, I don't care where you send me or what job I'm doing, send me back in. He's like, awesome. In you go. 29 Palms, California, here I come.
Did you have to do basic or anything again, or were you able to go right to the unit? Did you just go right to the unit?
Was able to go right back to the unit. They were just coming back from Al-Qaim in 2004.
Okay.
About halfway through that, before the 2005 deployment, the sniper team had an indoc, and I was like, you know what? I'm not getting any younger. Read the books, Carlos Hathcock, all that crap. I was like, send me, let's do it. And sure enough, they're like, cool. I ended up going through 3 days of hell and made it. And they're like, cool, we're deploying to Ramadi, Iraq in September. Get ready to go. And I'm like, oh, cool. We'll have the vehicles. We'll throw all our shit in there. And they'll take us to the house and drop us off. And then they're like, no, that's not exactly how it works. And quickly learned as the point guy that ruck full of everything you need for 4 or 5 days, the ammo, the water, and it's just the weight. And then we did the deployment in 2005, and hopefully you guys were able to read the book, and so some of the stories that are discussed in the book. And the worst one obviously is the little girl. That one still bugs me to this day. It's and a lot of people say they understand. They're like, oh yeah, we get it. It's like, no, it's one thing for the guy to the left or right. You don't want them to die, but if they get hurt, it's almost acceptable. Or if it's like a military age fighting male.
You have that mindset. You and that's good soldiers and good Marines, good Rangers. Honestly, they do. You already have that acceptance because you don't want it to happen. You're going to do everything in your power to not make it happen. Yeah, it still hurts when it does happen, but it's the same adage. It's the old cliche. That's what we signed up for. And you're right. No, I get it, man. I get it. I understand that too, brother. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Keep going, my friend.
It was the horror story was, of course, the little girl who we took over their house on the first mission, and the family was amazing. They asked us if we needed anything. They would bring us chai to help us stay awake, chai tea, and they were so amazing. And I'm like, oh man, these people are just incredible. Sure enough, and kind of I don't want to give the story away too much in the book, but essentially I was on guard duty that night, and here comes the little girl. She couldn't have been 7 years old, carrying a raggedy blanket, a stuffed animal that looked like it'd been through a dog chew toy. And she came walking out, and the family provided us this big king chair to sit in on security. Had the claymore set up, the saw down there for whatever. And she scared the shit out of me initially. She came up from behind me. I jumped up with the 9mm. I was like, oh, okay. And I guess I was out of the way. She climbed up in the chair, cuddled up, right to sleep. And I'm like, okay. And right then and there, we had suffered a lot of loss. Helicopters been shot down. A lot was going on around the city. It was blacklisted. And I was like, you know what? You almost feel human again, where you're like, this is why we're here. This is who we need to protect. 3-day mission. We're able to engage a few people. They were digging IEDs before they found the foot patrols. Came back a few weeks later, and it was just the guy. He was limping, like I feel now, but just dragging his leg along. And we're like, where's the rest of your family? Where's your wives? And we found out that the Taliban had found out that he gave up his house, which, I mean, we're a team strength. He didn't have a choice. Came in, killed the wives, took the little girl out in the street, and executed her in front of basically the village, as an example of like, you let them come into your house, this is what's going to happen. And we felt so responsible. We were just like, oh, we're not even going to stay here tonight. Hey, QRF, come get us. We're done.
Yeah.
No, you've been through enough. And the man of the house actually spoke really good English for living over there. He was really educated. He's like, it's not your fault. It's you guys are doing good things. He's like, you guys are more than welcome to stay. We're like, no, we can't. It's too creepy, I guess. So we ended up going back, and we all kind of sat around and just, everyone was like, what's wrong? And no one would talk. No one wanted to talk about it. And after finding that out, then it just became even worse. The callousness was just like, I was done.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like nothing's going to bother me anymore. But then you find out more friends and, things like that happen. And the IED threat, the claymores, all that stuff. I'm just like, whew. But Ramadi was Ramadi in 2005, prior to the elections. We had the glass factory incident, talked about in the book, that recruiting event, suicide bomber detonated himself, killing 60 plus people. They show up and like, here's some trash bags and shovels, go collect what you can. And weirdly enough, and you said it best too, Chris, there's tons of books and movies out there, from Lone Survivor to, American Sniper, all that, sensationalize, I guess, the war aspect and, the war stories, like, oh, cool, let's share war stories. But the book, I wanted to say, you know what? Yeah, this is the stuff that sucks, but this is what happens. And no one wants to talk about it for some reason. And it drives me nuts. Every time I talk to these vets that I work with, I'm like, this is not the first war the U.S. has been in. Likely not going to be the last one. Mm-hmm. But we're still making the same mistakes when people are coming home that they did in World War II and Vietnam. No one wants to talk about it. So I wanted to get this book and really like drive home. When your loved one comes home and they're isolating away, they're drinking until they pass out.
Yeah.
They're buying all these guns. The light needs to go off. They're not just doing that because, they found a new passion. They want to buy guns. And the families, no one wants to say, what's the impact on the families? This guy's drinking, but, why isn't the family intervening? It's like, damn. So I wanted to use this book as that driving force to really hammer home, like, this is what's going on. The 22 a day thing, it's got to stop. The ego thing, like, swallow your pride, be vulnerable, get help. There's so much better. And I'm such a hypocrite saying this because I was the same way. But once you come out of that under the thumb, life is so much better. And there's so much out there outside of the military. And I didn't believe it. But once you get out, there's so much you can do to help others and give back. You'll find that sense of purpose. You just have to be willing to get to that stage. And I think that's where, and not to like put a big downer on the podcast or anything, but
this is real. People need to hear it.
It just drives me crazy because seeing my family and my wife's father, who was a Vietnam vet in the Marines back in the 60s, he waited and my uncle 40 plus years. Came home alienated from their families, drinking all the time until they fell asleep. And I'm like, God, 40 years. But here, my last deployment was in 2010. And guys who I served with in 2007 have picked up my book and they're like, oh my God. And like light bulbs are going off. The bailiff who works in the courtroom that I work for, his son came home and gave it to him. And he gave the book to his son who would barely come out of his room, like drinking all the time, read the book. And he's like, and he came out one day, he's like, you know what, take me to the VA. I want to get some help. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, you're going to make me like mess up. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, here's that success story.
You can say cry.
That was the whole point of the book. I was like, I don't care if I sell 5 10, 15, like who cares? If it helps 100 people and 100 people help 100 people, that's all that matters. And it's, it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing ride.
Well, it's like I was saying, I know we've got to delay a little bit, but just because you're a Marine, you can still say cry. All right. It's okay. It's okay to say cry. If you're going to cry, Chris, don't worry about that. And I was going to ask you a question, Chris. What I was getting into is, and this is important, is you still have your wife, and there's a lot of people, a lot of veterans out there that have issues, and I can speak on my own that when my wife was out of my life, I reconciled. We're back together again, which is probably the smartest thing I've ever done in my life. But not having that rock, that base that, like you talked about, that's when they have their issues most of the time, not all the time, but the majority of the time. That's why I just find that as a common denominator to veterans that have seen a lot of stuff and have seen death and have saved lives. And you saw the life part of it with the little girl. I had the same experience in Baghdad, that I saw a little girl playing in front of me, and then they tried to hit us with an IED, and instead they hit her and it blew her up. And so I get that, because you feel like you're like human. You said it just right. I felt human. I'm watching the little girl after I was a year. It was actually 0405. I was with Blackwater. I was in the Mansour district, and I'm watching these two little girls play. And I'd been downrange for about 7.5, 8 months at that point. I hadn't gone home yet because we were making at that time. Those contractors were making boatloads of money at that time. We were. Yeah. So I would stay. I wouldn't go home. I'd just extend and stay through my leave. But you get desensitized to what being human is. And then you see little kids playing or coming up and laying with you, curling up with you and taking a nap. And you're like, man, this is what it is. This is why we're here. But it's also this, I feel like a human. I don't feel like a robot anymore. I have feelings. My feelings came back. But then when you see the death or you hear about the death, yeah, you go down that slippery slope, and a lot of guys have seen that. Men and women, guys, politically correct, neutral term on the Battleline podcast show. But what it is that a lot of those that don't have that rock in their life anymore, which is your wife, they're the 100%. Ones that have the hardest time overcoming that, and that's why that's the importance. I don't know. Could you speak on the importance of having your wife be part of it? And your wife had her own issues. My wife did too when I was going through all that. Yeah. But if you think that's important, I still think that's one of the main factors where guys aren't able to come out of their shell, to come out of to stop doing the negative things, the vices. They can't control their vices. It's usually because they're not in a relationship, or they're in a very, very bad relationship. So what do you think about that, bro? Yeah. Tell me what you think. I want your take on that.
I think you're 100% right. I think so many, you get jaded, you become human, you kind of lose that human feeling because you see something, you get jaded again.
Yeah.
You keep tucking away these all these issues in that internal file cabinet, and you come home, and the cycle is so fast that you're home for 6 months, you're right back to it, 7 more months, come back, right back. I mean, it's such a crazy cycle. And for the ones that, thankfully, I'm lucky enough to say my wife stood beside me and rode the wave, per se, with me. And I'm just like, wow, I'm so grateful that she stuck with me, because I think we often talk about it. Without her and her push to say, you know what, enough of your shit, you need to get help, and basically putting that foot in my ass, basically, what was the saving grace. Because I really don't think, like, looking back, to be completely honest, I'm like, I was on that edge where there definitely wouldn't be a book, there definitely wouldn't be like talking to you guys on the podcast. I really believe like that was a dangerous slope. And I talked to the guys that I screened for my current job. I'm like, look, I said, you can be the biggest hard ass you want, but at the end of the day, when you're like on your own and you've hit rock bottom, the ones who are going to matter the most aren't going to be your drinking buddies at the bar, not going to be the group of guys or whatever. It's that family member who's going to pull you out of the sewer and basically get you back on track. I was like, you need to thank them every single day. And yeah. So I think having that foundation of that rock is just pivotal. But even if you're in that toxic relationship, and that's why I put in the very back of the book all those resources. There's hundreds of resources out there, and hundreds of people, you know, and I've got a website like that I'm about to launch in July 1st. And I was like, come on, like, give me your number. I'll call you. You need to call me at, we tell these guys, if you need to call us at 2 a.m. to prevent you from like eating a bullet, taking pills, drinking and driving, call us. Like, we would rather be lose an hour or two of sleep, like helping you through your shit, than to find out the next day that, hey, we lost a member and now we're going to a funeral for a guy because he wanted to be prideful. He didn't want to make a 10-minute phone call. Take advantage of the hundreds of resources and the people out there. You know, once my website goes live in July, I'm going to constantly have and I hate to use the word blog, but I'm going to have some things set up to where people can like post on there like, oh man, I'm having issues. And we use the little social media groups of all different units where guys are like, hey, I'm on the edge. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drink myself stupid. You know, everyone will just like bombard this guy with phone calls, and to where he's just like, fuck, okay, I'm never going to be not okay again because you guys won't leave me the hell alone. But I think that's what it's about, is just not being so prideful where you're so scared to just ask for help. And it sucks. It's scary as shit being vulnerable. It's one of the most scary things. Weirdly, after all the deployments, one of the scariest things was that, like, damn, I actually need help, and saying to the doctors, I'm having issues. I can't sleep. I'm getting up 10 times a night, checking doors and windows. And if I hear like a weird noise outside, I'm going outside with my shotgun. And it's perfectly natural deployed. I mean, you need to do that or you're not making it back. But when you're home, you can't be like that. You need to, but you just can't shut it off. Like I thought, oh, I'm just going to shut it off. I'll be fine. After 7 months, who cares? I'm fine. And I'm like, ooh, this drinking is great. I'm going to be hammered every night. And I couldn't connect the two, weirdly enough. And it's like that light bulb or my wife's foot in my butt, one of the two. But yeah, I'm here today, and God willing, thankfully that base is still going strong. And as we progress, it's even stronger. She wants to set up a podcast where we can share our stories and connect with military families that maybe don't, you know, are missing that key piece. Like, hey, we went through this, you know, like if we can survive it, you can survive it, you know, give it a shot. You're not a robot. And that's why I put in the book, if you come home and you have no issues, take your ass down to the prison, check yourself in, because you're a psychopath. Because there's certain things that you're going to experience, witness, you know, see the guy next to you step on an IED, see the little girl get mortared, or see, you know, just some horrible, horrible things like first responders. I mean, 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, that was here in the States. And yet they're like, oh, you know, we should be okay. We should be okay. I'm like, no, that's about as horrible as it gets. And it's okay to not be okay. And that's that one sentence, it's okay to not be okay, is such a missing piece in people's minds, because they all want to be hard asses. And I did too. I was like, oh, you can't dent steel, blah, blah. You know, I'm going to run a gun until I'm 90. But it's just not realistic. And it's, and we've got a program full of people that we're in that same mindset that we're trying to pull through. And make them think, and hopefully, God willing, that number will start declining, and you know, more and more celebrations and less funerals.
Yeah, I agree. So for the audience, you guys can probably tell we've had a few connection issues here and
Oh
there.
no!
Luckily,
Tell me,
D is going to
is it
piece
delayed
this
again?
together. We'll be all right, but luckily our
Yeah.
video guy is going to piece this
Ugh.
together that we're able to make this work.
Okay.
But I just wanted to get in one more. I think we're fine, Chris. But I just wanted to get in one
Damn.
more question here before we wrap this up because of the connection stuff. And it's before we started recording, you were telling me what you're currently doing now, and you really are helping a lot of veterans out there with the current work. So if you could just get into that a little bit, I think that'd be perfect, Chris.
Sure. Currently, right now, down here in San Antonio, Texas, working for the Bexar County Veterans Treatment Court. I'm the case manager, kind of the recruiter for the program. And basically, I go down to the jail and we talk to vets or active duty service members who are arrested for DWI. Family violence is huge right now. And we screen them out, make sure they understand that for the next year of this program, our foot's going to be in their ass the whole time. And we put them in treatment, we get them into the VA, we get them into family counseling, PTSD counseling, whatever the case is. And if they make it through the year, their case is dismissed, and they can apply to have it expunged off their record so they get a fresh start if they're willing to do the work for the year.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah. And that's amazing that you're back here doing this work. I think it's important, and it goes into basically the whole theme of what you got into in this book. So check out the book, guys. Terror to Triumph. It's by Chris Whittemore. It's available now in paperback and Kindle, wherever you could find books, Amazon. And you could follow Chris on all social media platforms at USMC 9550. At USMC 9550. I know we had a few connection issues here and there. We have a little bit of delay going on, but I think we got into some really important topics here. So thank you so much for coming on, Chris. And,
Thanks,
and we'll talk
Chris.
again soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. We'll talk to you soon, man. Great having Chris on. I know, early on in the interview, the connection was good. You guys could probably tell. I mean, Deal edit things. But yeah, we had a little bit of a bad connection at the end. But I think just the vulnerability of this book is really what stands out. There's a lot of war books out there, and he does get into those war stories because that's really what led to him having issues with post-traumatic stress and TBI and those type of things. But I think the fact that he's saying, hey, there's solutions out there. There is a way to see the other side of this. I think that's really what's going to resonate with guys and what guys need to hear.
Well, I think what I got out of it and is his wife had a breakdown, and I think that shows how war doesn't just affect the person away. It doesn't affect the troop that's deployed. It's at home. There's an extreme amount of stress, and I saw my wife Tanya. She had that same thing. She had. She didn't have she almost did have a breakdown a couple of times because that's why I always tell people that honestly, my job was easy when I was deploying. All I got to worry about is not dying. I mean, other than that, I'm good. My food's taken care of. I'm getting paid. I'm doing what I love doing. I'm having a great time. I'm around a lot of people, like-minded peers. Yeah, there's some where I don't get along, but for the most part, I get along with everybody. The wife at home's got to worry about the kids, or if you don't have kids, got to worry about the rent, got to worry about food. They never really know what's going on. So and in the back of all their heads, as tough as they are or not, they're still thinking, am I going to get that phone call today? Or they're watching, if you're watching the news, I tell you don't to, but if you're watching the news and you see an uprising in a country or an uprising in a town, now you start to worry about that, about your spouse. And I just saw that for me, that resonated but because really, the spouse, the one that's home goes through just as much stress as a person deployed, but also the importance of having them there, because really you're sharing the stress now, and that's important. So on the positive side, you're sharing all that. Where when you're on your own, and you come home, there's nobody to share that stress to anymore. And that's important. That's why the spouse is so tough, because they're the ones that have to listen to all the horror stories or listen to stuff that really they don't know much about, but you're getting it off your chest. That's why if you guys that don't have a good relationship, that can't talk to their spouse or don't have one, generally they're the ones that you see go down that slippery slope. But if you're in a toxic relationship, that's not good either. I've been in that before too, and that's terrible as well. So having that perfect person there that helps you, and he does, sounds like he does, is extremely amazing, and says a lot for the strength of spouses, of those that stay home while their spouse deploys. So that I love that part of the story. I loved hearing that, honestly.
Yeah, and the book will get into all that, so check it out, guys. I am holding back laughter a little bit because as serious as this topic is, this is an old thing that I was thinking of with the pronunciation of it, how horror sometimes can sound like horror. So you like those horror stories, and I'm like, those horror stories could be horror stories. You never know.
I have a few of those too. I'm sure I do now. There's some horror stories out there.
Because I think of when, for those who don't know, the voiceover for this podcast, the intro is Debbie Rashan, and I met Debbie when we did Fangoria Radio. And she would, I think she has like a slight Canadian accent. Maybe that's what it is. Because she would always say horror movies. And Dee Snider worked on the show, and he's like, yeah, you're in a lot of horror movies.
Horror movies. That's I didn't think about that, but you're right. Like I got a lot of horror stories and horror stories as well. So, but we won't get into the horror stories because that was a life that is long since gone. But the horror stories, yeah, there are some of those still out there. So that's funny. I know that's why you should laugh, man. Laughter is the best medicine. That's why I get upset. People get offended. We get offended for every damn thing, but yeah, and I really love, I know I'm giving a shout out for our movie 13 Hours, but I really love that because we put all the jokes in there, and that's what actually happens. The jackassery, the fuckery that goes about, even when you're getting shot at, just the shit you say just to get you through it, because laughter truly is the best medicine. So I know you're like, why is Ian smiling? This is supposed to be serious. Well, because honestly, it is serious. But yeah, because we're all immature. But yeah, it is serious. But he's also dealing with a little bit of the stress too, and he's trying to make light of a situation. Sometimes it's not, you shouldn't, but in this case, I think you should. And it was funny and it was hilarious. And we're still feeling for the guys that deployed and the ones that have issues with the horror stories.
And I know for you could joke about anything. I actually do remember when, because I remember this is funny because you're talking about the movie too. When we first met each other and stuff, because you were on Andrew Wilkows' show a whole bunch, but I remember one time you were super late for the show and we're like, what the fuck is going on? And then I remember Andrew being like, feel like I've been waiting here for 13 hours, man. And some people were like, you shouldn't joke about that. And I know for you don't really care. You'll joke about anything.
I thought that was hilarious. I remember that. And I think I had to do, I think I was at Fox doing Fox and Friends and had to do that.
I think you were at Del Frisco having steak or something.
Oh, bullshit. Because that was an afternoon. Was it Wilkows always the afternoon?
Yeah, it was afternoon.
If it was evening, you probably were right. I would have been at Del Frisco's eating a steak. And I swear I was at Fox and Friends or something, and it went long. And I do remember that because it feels like I've been waiting 13 hours, and that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was like, I feel like I'm gonna have my body dragged through the hallways of Sirius XM.
That was so fun.
Yeah, because I just, I think we all knew you well enough to know that you're the last person who's gonna be offended by anything, and so yeah, for sure.
Was there some that did get offended though? Were there some people that wrote in or got did?
No. I'm just. I thought we were wondering if well, he didn't say it on air. I don't think he would have said it. So
if he would have said it on air,
we're like, you probably shouldn't joke about that. But you also just have to know the personality involved too. There are going to be people who are serious about shit. There's people who aren't. The last thing I wanted to mention, I was going to mention this in the intro, but we had to kind of get through it quickly, was just because we spoke about it pretty in depth 2 episodes ago. Was the DHS disinformation board, and who was going to be the head of that? Whatever her name was, Jankowicz. I'd have to look it up.
Jankowicz. I can look it up.
But anyway, it's been scrapped after only 3 weeks, and
shocker. Probably not a good idea.
Yeah, my reaction to it, it's like, I guess on the positive end, the positive spin you could say is, well, that's kind of democracy of, the representative republic in action of people who don't like something. But I think the more cynical and realistic side of me says that they just realize, this is extremely unpopular, and you have midterm elections coming up, and people are going to associate this with the Democrat Party who set it up. And Yeah, it's not going to get them votes. I think both of us had the same reaction that general Americans had to it, that this was a horrible idea.
Oh yeah. Well, at least maybe politicians, maybe they did listen to what people felt. Well, obviously they did. They pulled it. I would think that would be the reason. But it was dumb off the outset. I want to know who thought that was a good idea from the beginning, and how would it not be looked like, or how would it not look like that political party that's sponsoring it is not utilizing it to control what's put out in the media? Yeah, and we had the Joe Rogan thing going on at that time too, and there was another one too.
Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Elon Musk did Twitter, and now they're trying to control what's been put out there. Well, guess what? That's what that makes you. You're a dictator. That's what dictators do. That's what countries like that do. They control what's put out there. That's what North Korea does. That's what China does. Oh, shocker. I guess the Americans aren't going to see it that way, though. So because they're dumb. Now, I don't know if that's what they said in the office, but to me, that's what it feels like the administration was saying. It's like, oh, come on. They won't put two and two together. Americans are dumb. No, we're not. They're not at all. In fact, to me, it was very offensive that they would even put and I'm offended. I got to be part of the offended crowd. I'm an activist now. But I was as an American, I'm offended that you as administrators and even the president of the United States would think that I am dumb enough to fall for this shit. But it's on the plus side though, it didn't go through, and they're squashing it. So somebody saw it as a bad idea. So at least there's one person in this administration that maybe used a little common sense. But I think they're going to get destroyed in the elections coming up anyway, just because of everything else it's just awful. And not just Afghanistan. I know that's a big thing, but the parents taking parents out of the choices for their kids, and that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal to everybody that has kids out there. And my wife, even, she's not in politics at all, and she even sees that. She's like, no way, nobody takes away the ability that we have as a family to raise our kids. No, that's horseshit. We don't. And I can't believe they do that. I can't believe they still are pushing stuff like that out there. They think schools and people outside should have say in family. I don't know. But I'm glad. I'm glad you put this, because I didn't know this happened. I'm glad you sent it to me, because honestly, that's great to hear. It is extremely great to hear.
Yeah, it broke yesterday, and as I usually say, like, we don't really get outside our wheelhouse of stuff on here, but the reason we mention it is because, that affects everything, and also was originally set up to squash disinformation on Russia and Ukraine, which is very much in our wheelhouse. The problem was also, there's a problem with it at large, but when people looked into, all right, who's going to be the head of this, she was extremely politically biased, and they were trying to present this as, oh, this is not going to be biased, this is not going to be partisan. And then when you looked into who's going to head this DHS department, that was not the case. So yeah, I wanted to get into that for sure. But that's really it. That's it on my end. That was a great interview despite some connection issues. And I definitely do want everybody to enjoy their Memorial Day weekend we have coming up. We have Top Gun 2 coming out. I'll be checking that out. We got the Memorial Day Air Show where I'm at. And we're going to do something special for Memorial Day. We're going to have, I've been speaking with Renee Nickel. We're going to have her back on. And, no one could really speak more about Memorial Day than her or any other Gold Star sister, Gold Star mother. That's what the day is all about. And the same day, like I said, on the Memorial Day weekend, I actually do have a great time going to that air show. And I think the two aren't mutually exclusive. You got to have a great, fun weekend, barbecue and all that, and still remember heroes that were lost. So I think you could still have I know, it's like a happy Veterans Day. Memorial Day is more somber, but you could have a happy Memorial Day weekend while still remembering what the holiday's about.
And as veterans, it should be celebrated. I know there's a lot of veterans that get jaded out there, or I was too. Chris mentioned said that quite a bit. He said, I was jaded. We do. And you get somebody that says, oh, Memorial, or somebody that doesn't understand says, Happy Memorial Day. I don't think it happens too much. I think social media puts it out there that it happens more than it actually does. So veterans get on there and get pissed off and put their don't ever say Happy Memorial. But as a veteran myself, it should be looked as a day of remembrance, a celebration. People that sacrifice themselves for the good of others. That's huge. That, to me, that's worth celebrating. That's humanity. That's courage. That is extreme courage right there. So guys. So if you're a veteran out there, look at it as a celebration. Don't get pissed off if a civilian says something that you don't want to hear, or is it's not incorrect? It's not correct with what Memorial Day stands for. I'll let you know, they don't know, guys. So just maybe educate them. Tell them, hey, maybe you don't want to say Happy Memorial Day because this is what it means, but I get why you're saying it. Thank you for saying that. How about you just say thank you for your service, or say thanks for your buddy's service? That is the best thing a civilian could say to me, is if somebody knew Bub or knew Saint, knew Andrew.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I know you lost guys. Thank you for their service, and thank you for yours. That's good enough right there. And but yeah, I enjoy it, guys, and veterans enjoy it, and you earned it. You earned the right to enjoy it. On 2 alibis we got here, Nina Jankowicz is her name, and Empower on the 3 E's: empower, educate, and entertain. God, I had to put that out there. It's driving me. E3 Association.
Okay.
Check
Empower, educate, entertain.
Empower, educate, entertain. Yeah, that's what the 3 E's said. So check out E3 Association, guys. There's a website for it. I'm all my stuff on the E3 Farm side, myself and Adam's side. But that is honestly what we're doing every day, is celebrating firearms and doing like we did the copper ticket thing, that kind of events, which is
the copper ticket, which I have.
Copper ticket. I got mine, and it's signed by. Look at
yourself.
Look at how narcissistic I am. I got my own copper ticket.
I could have it because it's signed by you. I don't know if I have anything signed, but then again, I have all this stuff behind me. That's narcissistic, right?
Ryan gave it to me. What am I going to do? Tell him no?
That's true. That's true.
And
it's the bullets that we used that day, right? Isn't that what it is?
It's
like
just
melted down.
It's actually that you gotta fabricate the bullet. There's shavings off the copper, and so they just got all the shavings together. Yeah, so it's the making of those bullets, and they melted them down and made those tickets, which was really cool. I still was.
That's why I have it on display right there.
Well,
definitely cool. And for the audience, I should throw out there, as I said, if any of you are on Long Island, I will be at that Memorial Day air show. If any of you are coming out to see the Blue Angels, you may just run into me. And that's really it. I should say to you guys that I know with the economy right now, we're actually just talking about how the administration is. I get it. Not everybody could support our sponsors and that type of thing. But at the very least, if you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, that type of thing helps us out a lot. You don't. My whole point is saying you don't necessarily have to buy anything. Just if you can, that's great. But let people know about the show. That helps us out for sure. Because I know there are some people on hard times, and we want to keep the show free. And the way that we're able to do that is if you guys leave us reviews and just spread the word. Subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're watching on there. And of course, as Chris is saying, support our sponsors as well.
If you can. I know we did that contradiction there in an ad. So here, don't you have to buy it, but here it is if you want to. That's how me and Ian are. If you guys that listen to this podcast, or you guys that are just coming on, this is just a fun podcast. We just goof and joke but we do talk about serious things that we do, but then we can still joke on the outside and even on the inside too. And even with our guests like Chris, we still could joke, even though he went through horrific stuff, had trick stuff happen at home. As a veteran in Marine, he still has that ability to laugh on the inside and then laugh on the outside and make a joke out of it. Because again, I'll say it, laughter is truly the best medicine. So listen to Battleline Podcast. You're going to laugh. You're going to get some serious stuff going on. Great sponsors. But in the end, at the end of the day, we just want you to leave with a smile and not pissed off because some politician did something that you didn't like. But anyway,
why do you sound awake now? Like now that we're into the show, you're awake.
I had my
coffee. That's all right.
I had my second cup of coffee and I threw my collagen protein in. You guys saw me doing it.
Nice.
No, I'm awake now, but my back is still killing. My back is destroyed. I work out tomorrow.
Get some rest, Tonto.
Right.
And thanks as always, guys, for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks Chris,
guys,
for coming on.
Yep.
And we'll be back as always every Monday with new episodes.
Peace out.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline Podcast. But we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself, face all challenges head on, and as always, never quit.